Hello fellow tankers, it's Mobius Y here once again with the first episode of Mediums Forever, 5-episode series showcasing the tanks down the Object 430 line. And here with the first episode, I'm starting with the Tier 6 A-43 medium tank. Now the reason why I'm starting with the A-43 is because the Object 430 line doesn't quite branch off on its own separate line up until Tier 6 with the A-43. Since the Tier 5 T-34 branches off to both Russian medium tank lines. So, in short, before this first game gets started here, a quick synopsis of the A-43, my opinion on it.
So nice! Mobius Y rates 4 out of 5 Ys!
This tank was a blast to play. It was a really easy grind. It didn't even take 40 games. I think I only have about 33 games in this thing before I got to the A-44 at Tier 7. This tank was just really, really good. It's a nice mobile tank like you would expect from a Russian heavy tank. Pretty dang good camo value for how tall it looks as well. And the gun itself, while it has kind of bad gun handling and not so great accuracy value, it's got pretty decent pen. And it has wicked DPM. It shoots so fast and has decent alpha at about 100-110 alpha damage there. And it just tears other tanks to shreds. For most heavy tanks of your tier, for every one shot that they take, you can put 3 back on them. Although, to be fair, their one shot might be doing just as much damage as your 3 shots back. But still, it lets you put a lot of shots onto the targets of opportunity really nice and quickly and just tear their tanks to pieces. Next thing you know, they're wondering, where do all my hit points go? So this first game here on Arctic Region is actually my very first game with the A-43, and it was a very, very surprisingly good game. So I'm basically just flexing this tank around the map, using it where possible, shooting at all sorts of different targets, just seeing what it's capable of. Now, I am playing this tank fully upgraded. What I'm going to be doing differently with Mediums Forever over my previous grind series, such as for the Object 268 and the T110E5, is with these mediums I'm not going to be playing every package. I've got over 2 million free XP sitting there, and I've had it for about 8 months now. So I'm going to be spending some of that free XP. I'll still play every tank in the line and do a gameplay video as well as basically a review of each tank up the Object 430 line, but I will be playing them fully upgraded by using some of this free XP. You can see right here the battle's already unfolding pretty nicely, and I'm just tearing these tanks apart. This M3 Lee is my second victim. M5 Stuart about to get absolutely demolished as well. Third victim in the M5 Stuart, and this Crusader's up next with no backup. And you can just see how quickly this gun shoots and how badly it just tears enemy tanks apart. Like I said, the aim time, the overall accuracy and gun handling when moving, not that great, but the aim time on this tank is really good, which more than makes up for the poor overall gun handling. Not to mention the pretty decent pen, like I said, as well as just that fast rate of fire. It can just tear up any tank you want. That you could see with that Wolverine and that M3 Lee. I mean, there was nothing left of them within a few seconds. The setup that I have on this tank has me firing every 2.7 seconds. You can see right there on the reload timer between shots here. So earlier I'm shooting at a KV-2, wondering if I can damage it, shooting it in the side, tried shooting it in its lower plate, and was able to successfully damage the KV-2, so I just made a mental note, okay, this gun is good against a KV-2 from the front by shooting him in the lower plate. Trying to see what I can do against this Jumbo, if I could just put shots through his upper plate, which I wasn't expecting to, or different parts of the frontal armor there on this Jumbo. Every other tank I didn't have a problem with, largely because they were very, very poorly armored tanks that I came across. And now I'm seeing an M6 just getting shots from the side of his turret. Before he can even really turn his turret around, he got a shot on me, he's gone. That's how quickly this thing puts shots downrange. It is absolutely crazy. I thoroughly enjoyed this tank, grinding it. This was my very first game, and a very impressive first game. Left me a very, very good impression the first time with the A-43. So you can see, just like that, out of nowhere, racked up 1,264 damage with 516 total assisted damage. Good XP haul, 4,400 XP with the ×2 on that game. Just a ridiculously good game for my first time in this tank. So we're going to hop back to the garage now, where I'll start reviewing the overall statistics of the A-43 by going into the package here and looking at the hard stats, as well as looking at some of the tech tree progression. Some of the tech tree progression to acquiring the A-43. So like I said, the A-43 branches from this T-34 at Tier 5. And the T-34, you can get 3 other tanks from the T-34 going to the Su-85 in the TD line, the A-43 in the Object 430 medium line, or the T-34-85 in the other medium tank line. So with the T-34, you want to fully upgrade it, since these last 2 guns, the 57mm and the 76 S54, in particular the 76mm S54, gets used on the A-43. But this isn't the gun you want to use on the T-43. You want to use the 57mm on the T-34, as it's a pretty easy grind. And the 76 S54 is used on the last 2 packages for the A-43. So make sure you research those. And the 57mm ZIS-4 should also be researched from the T-34. This package will be very cheap with just the tracks upgrade. This next package, another gun and engine upgrade, and the final package upgrades the turret with the same 76mm gun. So pretty cheap to go down this line. Now the A-43 lends a large part of its mobility to its 600 horsepower engine. It's not a very heavy tank, so it has a pretty good power to weight ratio. And the hard stats on the 76mm S54 gun, it shoots 18.18 rounds per minute. That's why it can shoot so fast. Penetration of 125, not too bad for Tier 6. Average alpha damage of 115. Now the APCR rounds have 156 penetration, so not a huge improvement, and only 110 damage. High explosive rounds, 39 penetration, 165 average alpha damage. To be honest, I rarely used anything other than standard AP rounds. Now the gun, while the overall accuracy is only 0.4, not that great, the aiming time, 1.89 seconds. That's a really good aim time. That's pretty much Leopard 1 aim time. So that explains why you could dunk so much DPM down with this tank. It aims in nice and quick so you can get shots exactly where you need them to go. Although the 0.4 accuracy can let you down at longer ranges. Excuse me. So the supplies that I used on this A-43, like I said, I carried mostly AP, but 10 APCR, 5 high explosive, and just a basic small repair, small first aid, and an automatic fire extinguisher to reduce the chance of fire. Pretty basic medium setup here with my equipment, coated optics, gun rammer, and vents. Since there's no vertical stabilizers, I just slapped on vents to help reduce the aim time just a little bit more. And that basically sums it up for equipment. So we're going to take a look at the 3D armor model now on the A-43. Not much armor to speak of, as you can see. 120 mils is the dark red band, 75 for the darker orange, and 60 for the lighter orange. So initially looking at it, not very good armor, not even in the gun mantlet. 76 to 80 millimeters of armor in the gun mantlet, seeing as how it's only about 75 millimeters of spaced armor. So not even the gun mantlet really offers much protection. You're getting some values of 100 there. The turret face itself, about 80 to 100, nothing too fantastic. And this commander's cupola is a little tougher to pen because it's got weird values, 130 on the dark red bands, but only about 60, 70 in between those thickly armored pieces. The front armor itself is only 60 millimeters, so sloped the way it is, it's about 85. Not a heck of a lot. There's a weird spot there giving me 244 for some reason, 245. I'm not sure what that is. And the lower plate itself, again, only about 95, 100, getting about 103 topping off there. So, from the front, it's very easily damaged on this thing, and expect that to happen. You can get some crazy bounces at really weird angles, seeing as how you're getting about 112. But the side armor itself as well, only 45 millimeters. Side of the turret, 82, 83. Nothing too fantastic here. Very lightly armored medium. The tracks themselves, 65 millimeters, even with the 20 millimeters of spaced armor. So it's easier to damage the A-43 in the side of the hull. The very back of the A-43, very low values again. 57, 58 was about the highest. Back of the turret, about 80. So back of the A-43, very, very vulnerable. Getting values as low as 30 in the back of the A-43. And the left side, similar thing, 80, 85 in the left side of the turret. And 45 millimeters in the side of the hull. Going up to 65 with the spaced armor provided from the tracks. So not a very well-armored medium. It also, due to its weak side armor and not so great frontal armor, it's not so good for side scraping. Because you can see these angles here, they're still very easy pens. You're getting 135 tops on the front plate and in some weird spots, 95. But it's still only about 65 in the sides. So it's not a very good side scraping tank. We'll go to the live cam. You can see that pretty much anywhere you can shoot this tank, you will pretty much pen it. We'll open up the compare values and take a look at it with the KV2. Shooting even the KV2's AP ammo will easily pen the A-43 from just about any angle. The only real trouble spot is that Commander's cupola with the really thick 120 millimeter bands of armor for some reason. But other than that, it's pretty much green all around. And the top of the A-43 is very thin, making artillery, especially FE-304s, very easily capable of damaging you severely. Details of the A-43, I'm just going to reopen the compare. Let's compare it with the T-34-85. Comparing the soft stats of the A-43 with the T-34-85. The A-43 gets better DPM than the T-34-85, as you can see here. Almost 300 points more DPM than the T-34-85, even when the T-34-85 is fully upgraded. Worse pen than the 34-85, though. Lower average alpha damage, and a worse chance of damage versus modules than the T-34-85. However, the rate of fire is a lot higher, as well as of course the reload time is much, much lower. 3.16, but I got it down to 2.72. The aim time is way faster than the T-34-85 as well, but the overall accuracy is quite a bit worse. Now, the dispersion values when moving, the A-43 actually has better dispersion values when traversing the tank or the turret than the T-34-85. However, the gun depression is worse than the T-34-85 at only 5 degrees at maximum gun depression, which is not that great. It's kind of on the low side of averagely bad. Power to weight, better than the T-34-85. This thing really motors with these really good terrain resistances, especially compared to the T-34-85. Turret traverses higher than the T-34-85. Tank traverses higher. All that good stuff. So this tank is really, really mobile. The turret and the hull can snap around where you need it to really quickly. And the chance of fire is 15% on this tank. Very average. So again, gun constraints, like I mentioned. 5 degrees of gun depression, and that's all around. Straightforward is 5 degrees, off to the sides 5 degrees, all around it. 5 degrees of gun depression, nothing too fancy there. The elevation is 25 degrees, so it can aim pretty high in the air. Health pool, you get 730 hit points, 10 hit points more than the T-34-85. So you can see here, with the equipment that I have, the DPM jumps from 2100 to just over 2500. That's nearly 400 or 350 extra points of damage per minute with the equipment that I have on. That's why I ran the vents and the medium caliber tank gun rammer. Really, really, really good DPM for a tier 6. Not bad at all. So let's take a look at the crew locations and the modules. Taking a look at these images here, as you can see from the front, the A-43. Not only is it vulnerable in the front armor plating, but you've got your driver sitting on the left side of the tank, and your radio operator's right next to him. Radio operator is not nearly as critical as the driver, seeing as how you want to keep the driver around because this tank really boots around nice and quickly. Now, in the turret itself as well, the turret's also quite vulnerable, even from the front. You've got your gunner in the front on the left side of the turret. He can get knocked out pretty easily if people are shooting you in your turret, especially off to the side. The commander sits underneath the big cupola sitting on top of the turret. But the commander himself doesn't really get knocked out unless you're shot in the side of the turret beneath the cupola. your radio man can still get knocked out from the side through that side plating there, but also in the very back of the tank, you've got a very big engine block, so that's prone to damage or even engine fires when getting shot from the back. And that's why I recommend that you put on a automatic fire extinguisher to passively reduce your chance of fire. As you can see from the back again, the engine block, very large, sitting down underneath the tracks, right between the tracks there. Easily damaged with the 30 to 50 millimeters of armor there. Very, very difficult to not have your engine get damaged if you're getting shot in that part of this tank. And of course the back is just very vulnerable. So starting to look at it from the right side, you can see the engine block. It basically covers the whole rear of the tank. But the ammo rack is also in the right side of the turret, near the back of the turret, with the loader sitting right in front of it. So basically, getting shot in the right side of the turret, not a very good thing with this tank, seeing as how you can either get ammo racked or lose your loader, and that'll really kill your reload speed with this tank, which will kill your very good DPM in this tank. One of the strongest aspects of this tank. And your driver, again, just like your radio man, could get knocked out from the side there. So it's very important that while you're brawling with this tank, getting up close to mitigate that pretty poor 0.40 accuracy, you're getting close, but protect yourself. Don't get shot, because getting shot in this tank results in really crappy games looking like this. 398 damage dealt. I essentially did nothing this game. You want your games looking more like this. Even on a defeat, you can get some good XP if you have a game looking more like this. 2166 damage dealt, getting 2737 XP with ops. Got a high caliber of this game, so that does help the silver earnings and the total XP gain. Like I said, if you're not protecting yourself, you can have games looking like this. 550 damage, less than 1,000 total HP done. Or you can even get ones looking like this. One penning shot for 111 damage for a whopping 455 XP. That'll really slow down your grind with this tank if you have games looking like that. Even on a victory, you could see I wasn't getting very much XP. Less than 1,000 XP. You want to make sure you're doing at least your tank's HP worth in damage with this thing especially. So 6 to 7 pen shots minimum to get 700 to 800 damage. Or even more so to get 1,000 plus damage, and then you can really rake in some XP and silver. So I've got a few more games stacked up here for you. This game, there's a couple tier 7s in it. Pretty much all of them are T20s, except for the T25 2 on our team here. So I'm kind of sort of not really middle tier. This is more of a top tier game, seeing as how it's almost entirely composed of tier 6s. And this is an encounter battle on Widepark here. I ended up doing over 2,000 damage this game. Now, you would think, how is that possible with such poor gun depression on a map like Widepark? Well, you'll see how it's done quite easily here on a map like Widepark. One of my favorite maps. You can still work it even with fairly poor gun depression. 5 degrees of gun depression really isn't a lot. See, about 6 or 7 degrees of gun depression is roughly the average. 6 is kind of the bad side of average. 7 is the good side of average. And obviously, 8, 9, and 10, good levels of gun depression. 5, 4, and 3, bad levels of gun depression. So trying to peek over, get some initial spots from this point right here. Waiting for some enemy tanks to come into view. I go for a really late shot in that KV-1S. Unfortunately, the 4 bars in the top left did affect me there, but I just said, screw it. That was kind of a dumb shot. I got an extra spot in, so we know where their heavy tanks are moving out to, and most of their mediums as well. So just peeking over the center here, just getting initial spots. I'm trying to keep an eye on these 2 T20s as well, as they are very likely mounting 90mm guns, which could severely hurt me if they get a very easy shot on me. It would not be hard for them to damage me with those large caliber guns. And like I said, it would do a large amount of damage. I'm trying to get a teammate to follow me here on the opposite side of the encounter flag as well. So you can see here, I'm with hardly any jive at all. The A-43 kicking up to 50 kilometers plus very easily, and as you probably saw in the previous game, it shoots super fast. It aims in wicked quick, and this thing just boots around. It's kind of what you would expect from a Russian medium tank. Really good all-rounder. Getting some cheeky shots underneath the trains on this T-34-85, already getting 3 shots into him unanswered. He's already down to half HP. Missed my fourth shot on him there, unfortunately. But making use of even my poor gun depression, just getting some cheeky shots in underneath these train cars to get some easily unanswered damage Now shooting at this KV-1S. Unfortunately, I didn't lead my shot well enough on that second shot, so the KV-1S got away without being punished further. So for the most part, right now I'm keeping an eye on this T-34-85, knowing that I have poor gun depression. I'm going to try and peek over and get shots on people. Once detected goes off is when I'm going to pull back here in just a moment after I finish off this tank. I'll take a small hit from whatever's in the back there. Luckily it wasn't something with a large caliber gun like another KV-1S. So I kind of lucked out there, but knowing that I could finish off that Jumbo Sherman, it was very important, as Jumbo Shermans can be really annoying. So this KV-1S, broadside to me, gets tracked. I dump some more shots in that KV-1S, set it on fire, and their friendly in the Jumbo, way behind me, manages to finish it off. One more tank on their team gone. So right now I'm feeling pretty good. I want to help out on the far right side, as it seems like that's where their big push is coming from. So I'm going to try and get shots on this Hellcat, and very, very easy to pen a Hellcat with this gun, as the Hellcat has a whopping 13 millimeters of armor. I luck out on the Hellcat's shot, thankfully. He only hits me in the track and doesn't do a lot of damage here. Now seeing this T-20, I want him out of the game, so I get some shots into his backside. Seemed like he wasn't really paying enough attention, so I'm able to take him out of the game. They're already down to 6 tanks, and it's barely 4 minutes into the game. So you can see here, playing cautiously enough where I did take one bad hit, which could have gone a lot worse, but for the most part, if I had the detected icon coming up on me, I wasn't really exposing myself too much and peeking over the center hill there. So you can still make poor gun depression tanks work on this map. Coming over to try and finish off 2 more tanks, get a kill shot on the KV-2 there. So I know there's still a T-20 left over there, hiding behind that debris, as well as one more KV-1S on the opposite side of the map. So trying to gang up on this T-20 here. No shots on him, so I pull forward to start just auto-locking this KV-1S. Now I know I can hurt a KV-1S without really aiming for it for the most part, aside from the gun mantless. So I simply auto-locked, tentatively peeked out, and took some auto-lock shots at him until he got taken out by another friendly, leaving just the T-20 and the artillery. So now I can use the A-43's mobility to just swoop in and just fire some really quick shots and take these guys out nice and fast. T-20 gets taken out, leaving just artillery, so we're going to go hunting for artillery now. Already scored 3 kills in this tank. Not even sure how much damage I have at this point in the game, but I figured it's got to be fairly high. And by the time the post-game comes up here, it will wind up being a very, very good chunk of damage. So, as you can see, even with very, very poor gun depression, you can still work that center ridge line, especially with a fast-firing tank like the A-43. So, yet another victory in this tank. 2188 damage dealt for just under 3,000 XP. Great game. You want your games looking like this with the A-43, and it's actually very easy to do. The biggest thing that you have to do, like I said, is just to protect yourself from getting shot for the most part, as there's all sorts of crazy angles that somebody could hit you with for either a good portion of your health pool or just start killing your crew and damaging your modules. It could be either one of those. So you mainly just want to prevent yourself from getting shot there altogether. Use Sixth Sense in the detected system to your advantage. When Sixth Sense is going off, you know that they can see you, but there's a good chance nobody's looking at you. So you can probably peek out, get off 1 or 2 quick shots by the time people start turning their turrets towards you. So that was the first game on Widepark. Second game on Widepark. In this video here, this third game, Mountain Pass, is going to wind up being a loss, but I still managed to do a good amount of damage, about 1,500 damage if I remember correctly. So even with that amount of damage, that's twice my HP pool, so I will actually still net a good amount of XP. And in this game, I'm actually quite bottom tier. So looking at the team composition here, I was feeling kind of down. I was like, well, I'm going to have a little difficulty penning, Tiger 2, T-32, things like that. So I simply pinged the map and said that's where I'm going, and merely hoped that some of my teammates would back me up. Seeing as this is an encounter game, I did want to get to that South Pass quite quickly, and I knew I could do that with this tank's really good high speed, really good overall mobility, just a really good performing machine. I'm trying to ping the Tiger 2 to come with me as well to that South Pass, so that we have some top tier, at least one top tier heavy tank in that southern area. So the nice things about this A-43, like, it's my kind of tank. I'm simply going to put it that way. It's got a nice gun that aims in really quick, allowing me to play peek-a-boom very well. The only unfortunate thing is I can't mount a vertical stabilizer on it, but other than that, really, really good aim time, so I can just peek out, take a shot, duck back in, and by the time I duck back in to avoid getting shot at, I'm pretty much pulling forward again to peek out and take another shot, seeing as how the reload speed is less than 3 seconds with the gun rammer and the vents on. Now, the other thing that I liked about this is with the optics and the vents and the Brothers in Arms, I'm also getting a pretty decent view range. It's got to be getting close to 390, 400 meters of view range, which is pretty dang good for a Tier 6 tank, especially considering the base view range on this tank, not that great, like a lot of Russian tanks of this tier. So pulling forward, I spot the Tiger, simply auto-locked on the move for 131 damage. That was a crazy on-the-move shot. This tank might not have great overall accuracy, but you can get away with some on-the-move shots like that one there. Still just staying auto-locked to the Tiger, waiting until he fires before I could peek out and put a shot into him myself. Already got 2 damaging hits onto him, but so far I'm the only person damaging him, which is really unfortunate. So I'm worried about artillery, as well as this guy just retaliating on me. So I'm trying to turn around and peek and see if he's got friends. Detecting an M6, just start dumping shots into this M6 right into the top parts of his upper front plate, right into the soft spots of his armor. And that's when I see he's got his turret turned, so I can actually hit him in the side of the turret quite easily as well. And I take him out rather quickly with the help of a friendly T-71 to finish him off. That's when an IS-2 gets upset with me and just pulls right up in my face. So knowing I can't take on the IS-2, there's also a T-32 in the back there with a Tiger tank. I just start backing off. I don't need to take ridiculous damage this early in the game. IS-2 gets upset and just pulls right in, trying to land shots in the lower plate of this IS-2. And that's the nice thing about this gun. It's got enough pen where you can shoot the lower plates of even higher tier heavy tanks and do reliable damage and do a good amount of damage to them too. Unfortunately, the IS-2 knocked me out for half my HP with 1 shot. But unfortunately for my teammate, but luckily for me, his next shot takes out the guy right in front of me. Not sure if he was aiming for me there. It doesn't really matter. He would have killed either one of us. So he did essentially trade for losing all that HP. He did essentially trade a tank for a tank. So looking at the progression of this battle here, it's pretty even right now. We are down 5-6. But right in front of me is one of their top tier TD, the J-Panther 2, as well as a T-32. So I'm just trying to stay in position. They're likely going to push. I'm figuring these guys are definitely going to push, seeing as how all we have here now is a Tiger 2, and they know it. So I'm just pulling back to try and get in a safer position, but it's still one where I can support this Tiger 2, figuring that the Tiger 2 would start backing off a little bit, but that didn't happen. So, figuring the Tiger 2 is kind of okay there. I need to get some shots in this Freedom and this enemy Tiger 2 way in the back here. But as you can see, the long-range accuracy of this gun, 0.4 accuracy, really not that great. So the shots just don't really go where I aimed them initially. And that's when I started backing up and just auto-locking to try to get some shots on this Tiger 2. Really lucky shot into the side of his turret. But after that, I just don't really get any more damaging hits, aside from hurting his tracks, which is nothing special. I'm not expecting to damage a Freedom, especially when he's facing me with all that spaced armor he has. So, turning around, I know the situation is getting really, really crappy for us really fast. This Tiger 2 actually starts getting torn up very, very quickly. And so I decided I'm going to take on this T-32 and this J-Panther 2, just do what I can. We've got 2 top-tier tanks behind us. There's 2 top-tier tanks in front of us. There's really nowhere for me to go without getting shot at. And all of these tanks could potentially kill me in 1 shot. The T-32 could low-roll me, but I didn't want to chance it. So I simply stayed put, got a tracking shot on the J-Panther 2, but it didn't destroy it, and he just rolls forward and takes me out of the game. So really unfortunate how that game turned out, but I mean, I did the best I could given the situation. We didn't have many tanks go to that self-pass, but I still, like I said, I still racked up 1535 damage, just under 1,000 XP on a loss. That is not bad at all. Friendly Panther on our team, over 1,800 damage. Really good game for him. Earning more XP than myself. We had 3 other people on our team breaking 1,400, 1,200, and 1,600 damage. And the Tiger 2 and the T-32 on the other team, really good games. J-Panther 2 over 3,000 damage as well. So good games on their part. Just an unfortunate loss for us as we got very, very poorly positioned with that Tiger II and that Freedom coming across the bridge on Mountain Pass there. So, while losing that game as top tier, I still put out, like I said, 1,500 damage. So you can still hurt tanks of higher tier, especially with a gun like this one. I had some pretty poor shots on that Tiger II, unfortunately, hitting him right in the side skirts and the gun mantlet. Got one penny shot on him, but that IS-2, I was actually able to dish out a good amount of damage. Same with the Tiger 1 seen at the very start of the game. So, this next game here on Pearl River, once again I'm bottom tier, as you can see here. Not a lot of tier 6s in this game, quite a few tier 7s, and about 5 or 6 tier 8s on each team. So again, I'm very bottom tier. But this game ends up being a really nice game, really putting the A-43 through its paces. And I managed to rack up a Confederate medal on this match with the ridiculous reload speed that this gun has. And it's games like this where you will really rake in the XP with the A-43, making this grind just go by so fast and having a really good time with this tank. Just reloading every 2.7 seconds, dumping a shot on somebody's turret side, or dumping a shot on somebody's lower plate, or just in the side of their hull, whatever. Pull back, reload, peek out another 2 seconds later. Somebody else isn't looking, put a shot in their turret side, so on and so forth. You're doing that every 2 to 3 seconds, 2.7 seconds to be exact, with the gun rammer, the vents, and brothers in arms on this crew. So it's working out really well. So while I get into position here, a couple notes about this crew. I did mention it has brothers in arms, but this is initially the crew I had on my IS-6. I overtrained the crew, moved it to the T-34, and without picking a new skill, I played the T-34 for the 25,000, 30,000 XP needed for the A-43, thus starting my grind for the Object 430. So once I get to the A-44, I will be picking a 5th skill with this crew, but essentially right now all I have is Mentor, Brothers in Arms, 6th Sense, and Repairs in that order. IS-6 was a great crew trainer, getting me 4 skills rather quickly, as well as overtraining the crew, so that not only do I not have to play with a new crew, I don't plan to play this thing stock using my free XP, but I also don't have to play with untrained crews with all the overtraining I've been doing, just accumulating extra crew XP on the crew without picking a new skill. So it's been serving me quite well. Like I said, the A-43 was a great tank to play because of it, and I'm looking forward to the other tanks in the line as well, especially with the A-44 coming up pretty shortly here. So I was just sitting in position there trying to see if I could spot anybody. Wasn't expecting to, and of course I got outspotted. No big surprise there, so I hit enemies locating, letting my friendlies know that there's bad guys here. And that's when I spotted 3 enemy tanks. T-34-85, a Freedom, Super Pershing, and a heavy tank. Not quite sure what the heavy tank was right away, so I just started backing off. That was quite a bit of firepower coming my way, so I simply backed off, just ducked myself into this little alcove here, forcing the Freedom to poke really far out in order to take a shot at me. So with him looking back at me, I already got my shot into him to annoy him. Diving back behind cover here, behind this crenellation. Just waiting for the Borsig to get their attention so that I can peek out and get a shot off. Unfortunately, the Freedom's still looking at me, so I just ducked back for cover, and I'll be largely staying that way until this IS-3 pushes really far on them. Freedom and the M6 both fire a shot, so I try to aim in on the M6. Unfortunately, the gun depression, like I said, very low. So I pull out a lot farther than is safe and get one shot off on that M6 before he gets taken out. Trying to hit the torsion bars of the Freedom, not working out so great. 0.4 accuracy, what can you do? And I'm not fully aiming on my shots. IS-3 isn't fully covering me, so I didn't want to take a retaliation hit from this Freedom, as he can do a lot of damage. So I started aiming for the little machine gun port, which is a hole in the spaced arm on this. And I also started aiming for the turret cheeks, which look like they're a little tough to pen, so I gave up on that pretty quickly. Trying to shoot him in the side once more. Not sure where that shot went. I'm going to assume the turret ring, but I was able to knock him out. And a Freedom isn't really a very easy, or sorry, I should say it's Super Pershing, not a very easy tank to punch holes in with a vehicle like this, especially when you're bottom tier. But with the help of my teammates, definitely with the help of my teammates, just a couple test shots to see what I could do to the usual weak spots in the Super Pershing, and eventually finding the chinks in his armor for my gun. I was able to get a couple damaging hits on him before eventually took him out of the game. So driving off to the side here, we see a couple tanks down by the... Excuse me. Sorry about that. See a couple tanks down by the flag, but peeking out I see a completely broadside T-150. So I start putting shots into him, and that's when he starts looking at me. So seeing as how he's broadside, I'm not worried about whether or not my shot will pen. I just need it to go low. So I auto-locked, got an easy shot into his side, just ducking back and forth in and out from cover, weakening him enough for my teammates to take him out. And seeing all these tracers from the back there, we know that there's snipers in the back hill, and I have no idea what they are. So I'm not getting too pushy here. Still playing really cautious and just trying to preserve my HP. And that's when somebody sees the Tiger P. Apparently, I saw the Tiger P, seeing as how I just got the detection for him. So trying to reposition. The gun depression really not letting me get a shot on this T-34. Very unfortunate, as the T-34 was able to cruise forward and take out a friendly tank, which kind of sucks for us. But we still are up 95 in this game, up 10 tanks to their 6 right now, but they still have a couple top tier vehicles left, including this Tiger 2 creeping up through the middle. So I turned back around, trying to spot this 110 Tiger 2, what the hell was I thinking? Trying to get the attention of my teammates and draw this 110 off of him. And that's when the Tiger 2 that I was talking about rolls up. So with a 110 and Tiger 2 right in front of me, I just hang back. I'm just playing very cautious. That Tiger 2 completely disappears from my view, though. So I know he's stopped and just staring at me, trying to call for help from teammates, and that's when the AT-15 rolls in to see what he can try to do. Also got a T-95 E2, excuse me, out in the field by the flag, getting side shots into the guys that are right in front of me. Seeing the Tiger 2's turret turn, I start putting shots into him. Unfortunately, I'm not able to damage his cupola or the weak spot on his front plate. So I just back off and just wait for my chances, hoping that artillery doesn't decide to take me out of the game just yet here. So I peek forward on the Tiger 2 again, just rush a quick shot for no reason. And he manages to track me, so I wait for my tracks to get repaired.
We fixed the track.
And unfortunately, the friendly AT-15 gets taken out by artillery. Thankfully, the Borsig finally turned around, though, and was able to finish off that Tiger 2. So, once again, I'm in a pretty good position. One enemy tank on the flag, it's the T-34. So I figure, okay, don't really need to deal with him just yet. I want to get the medium overseeing him. That's when a friendly TD takes the T-95 E2 out of the game, thankfully. So, Borsig rolls forward, gets a shot of the T-34. Now's my chance to move, because I don't need a T-34 shooting me in this tank. He will easily kill me. So I simply get the attention of the T-34 by zipping past him, getting some little bee stings into his side and rear, and the friendly T-28 takes him out. So that pretty much mops it up for this game. There's just artillery left. But, like I said, I was able to damage, I not only damaged higher tier tanks, including this artillery piece, the GW Panther, but I was able to knock out a Freedom from the game, so I'm expecting a pretty good XP haul from this game. No reason not to, seeing as how most of my damage was to higher tier tanks. And I know I got quite a few pen shots in, so I'm expecting a decent amount of damage dealt. And that combined with damaging high tier tanks overall, I'm expecting a pretty good XP haul from this game. So as you can see, the A-43, it can perform very well even when bottom tier. You just gotta, use your head more. Just remember that you don't really have any armor, so to speak, on this tank, and just wait for other people to bait enemy tanks' shots, and then you can peek out and get 2 or 3 shots in. 19 total damage dealt with a Confederate medal, 2153 XP with the ops being completed. Unsurprisingly, I'm at the top of the list in XP for my team. Even though the Borsig did more damage, he was top tier. I was essentially damaging higher tier tanks than myself, giving me a good XP boost over the Borsig. Great game overall. Really glad I got that one here to share with you guys as well. And that's not going to wind up being the only game where I get a Confederate medal. The next game coming up here on Prokhorovka, another standard battle. I also get a Confederate medal on this game, and again, I am also bottom tier. I'm not going to wind up doing as much damage in this game, unfortunately, but like I said, I still managed to get my shots in and do some damage, and get another nice Confederate medal. I love Confederate medals. I'm just going to say it right now, in case none of you guys have figured that out. I love my Confederate medals and my sniper medals. I'm very proud of those. I'll take those over Top Guns any day. And Patrol Duty is a pretty nice one to get as well. So this was much later in my grind for the A-43. I had a much better grasp of the tank, even on the previous Mountain Pass and Pearl River games. This game I think was somewhere after I'd already played about 25 games in it. So I was just finishing up the grind on the A-43, closing in on enough XP to unlock the A-44. Basically, all these games here were not really in succession, but with the first game on, what the heck was it, Arctic Region there, that was my first game. The last game after this one was actually the last game I played in the A-43. So loaded in late because Xbox One, unfortunately, and looking at the team composition, I see once again I'm quite bottom tier, but you know, I figure, what the heck, I've still got about 400 meters of view range. I can be the scout in the middle, seeing as how almost nobody on my team is going to be going to the middle. So for the most part here, I'm just going to be actively scouting with my medium tank here with the A-43 in the center areas of Prokhorovka. So I'll be peeking over until I myself get detected, and then just backing off for cover, avoiding taking shots from the higher tier vehicles in this game. And also from artillery, as chances are artillery will be looking at me when I become the first person spotted on my team. It's just the way it goes. Quality artillery players, you know. Anyways, so knowing that I don't really have the greatest view range, but still a pretty good one, I just peek up a little farther than I should have. It looked like there was nobody over there initially, but like I said, I peeked up way too far. Allowing myself to get spotted, and a Hellcat actually shot me right in the gun for no damage, but damaging my gun. So losing the accuracy of my gun on a map like this, not really something I want to deal with. I will wind up repairing it pretty shortly, because while the A-43 is not the super accurate vehicle, especially with the 76 mil gun S54, I do want to maintain as much accuracy as possible, because I know I'm going to be making long range shots like this one on the T95 E2. First one bounces, second one hits, and then that's when he starts moving. Excuse me. So with the hit that I got on that tank, I'm quite content that I made the right choice in repairing my damaged gun. As Prokhorovka, for the most part, especially for me in the middle with my mediums, it winds up being a very long range and vision war kind of game. So I want to try and maintain as much crappy accuracy on my gun as possible. So from this point on, I have to play quite cautiously, as I no longer have my repair kit already. Not even 2 minutes into the game, and I wound up having to use it. So I don't want myself to get tracked out in the open and unable to repair my tracks. So I'm still undetected here, and just aiming on this ISU 152. I know he's dangerous, fully upgraded or not, so I start getting shots into him. First shot damaged, second one didn't. Third one seems to track him, but it doesn't really matter because the friendly 110 takes him out. Seeing another TD over there in the usual TD hill, but he disappears because it's an E25. So also seeing an enemy T-43 medium tank and a Tiger 1 heavy tank over there. I just chose my targets and started shooting. So you can see here I'm shooting from over 400 meters away, so clearly somebody else is spotting these tanks. But in return, I'm not getting spotted back. The camo value on this tank is quite good to combat the vision range of most tanks that you'll see of the same tier. Excuse me. Sorry. So the friendly 110 that wound up pushing really far and was essentially spotting for us got taken out by the E25. So E25 still being lit up. I know he's dangerous. Try to get some shots into him. Couple damaging hits, but nothing too fabulous there. And that's when somebody spots this VK30 medium tank, and I know he's exposed, so I started putting shots into him next. And this is where the A-43 can also be used. It's really not a sniper. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm doing it here, but that's just Prokhorovka. You end up shooting from long range in your medium tanks on this map, regardless of the accuracy of it. So I was thinking of pushing forward, but that Hellcat is peeking up from that rock there and just getting spots on me. Really bad auto-lock shot. I should have been more patient and aimed that shot a lot better, as this Hellcat is essentially down to a one-shot. So I know I could take him out with one hit. Just trying to close the distance here and make my shot count. Seeing him pull forward, but I'm still auto-locked, not paying enough attention, and that's when he ammo racks me. So At this point, I was really kicking myself for just being stupid and not aiming my shots on this Hellcat. He only had 111 hit points. I could have easily aimed those shots much better, taking that Hellcat out before he ammo racked me. So now I've got about a 5-second reload. I didn't really know what the time was. So I'm playing at this point much more passively. Not really going to be just dumping shots on people. 5.45 second reload now. Much worse now that my ammo rack is damaged. Plus there's a possibility of a really low alpha damage gun hitting my ammo rack once more and taking me out of the game. So I don't want either of those things happening. And with that, I just start playing cautiously, repositioning, trying to get spots on whoever else is still alive in the back of the map there. You know, just cruising around, trying to maintain some top speed. And that's when I see that I could very well have some side shots on these mediums. Of course, it gets taken out, so I don't have to worry about him spotting me. So I just try to reposition so I could actually get my gun depression down there to put some shots on these enemy tanks in the distance. Just waiting. Not going to do anything ridiculous. Not going to do anything aggressive since I don't have my ammo rack is still heavily damaged and it's really crippling the capabilities in this tank. You can see right there, reload speed way longer, and it's just agonizing how long it's taking for me to hit another shot on that T95 E2. But eventually I figured, you know, that SU-100 has not been spotted. He's got to be in the back. The D-25 ran away quite a while ago, and there's still artillery. The two medium tanks are on the hill there, so I figured I could push in and start detecting these bush Wookiees in the back of the map. Spotting the SU-152, SU-100, some friendlies start getting shots into him. So I'm just pulling forward, making my way through the ditch here, just keeping my line of sight broken. And that's when I spot artillery, so I auto-lock onto him. Get one shot into him, hoping to get another shot into him before he gets taken out by the teammates. One more shot into him drops him down to one shot, and that's when the teammate on the hill, in the J-Panther, is able to take him out. And the rest of the team mops up the E-25 and the two mediums on the hill there. So not a great game. I kind of pulled a dumb move on that Hellcat, not once but twice, but I still was able to do 1,132 damage dealt, 1,453 assisted damage, Confederate medal, and all that netted me 1,500 XP for this game. Not a bad XP haul. The base XP wasn't that high, but with the premium account it was able to net me 1,500 XP. And that's the kind of game you want to have in the A-43. Consistently get those nice games. And, I mean, 1,000 damage, that wasn't a crazy amount of damage dealt. Not like this T95 E2 with just under 3,000 damage dealt. Great game for him. You know, you don't have to do a crazy amount of damage in the A-43 to get a decent XP haul, so worked out pretty good in the end there. Last game here on Redshire. This was my last game overall in the A-43. I was just shy a couple hundred XP for the A-44, so I knew this was going to be my last game. Excuse me. So I was pretty excited. I told myself, you know, if this is my last game in the A-43 and this tank is so great that I've had so much fun with it, you know, I really want to have a good game here to make the fond memories of the A-43 last in my head, as well as make it a strong contender for being a Tier 6 rebuy of a medium tank. I strongly was considering just keeping this tank in my garage. But I did wind up selling it after this game. I might rebuy it in the future, but you know, what can you do? So Redshire, starting this game off, quite a top tier game, but there is a lot of tier 6s. So I told myself, okay, I know I can reliably damage pretty much all these enemies just by aiming for flat spots in their armor and vulnerable spots in their armor. Overall, don't have to worry about, you know, Super Pershings, Tiger 2s, or IS-3s just bouncing me and laughing at me because I could barely even pen them. So pulling up into this hills here, I didn't want to get into the brawling corner where the heavies like to go just yet. I'm trying to get some initial spots at first. So spotting the enemy EZ-8, something starts looking at me. I figured there's got to be some TDs back there still that I haven't spotted, and that's when I just backed off. I also don't have to worry about artillery, so I wasn't just randomly jinking around trying to throw the artillery's aim off. So with 6 cents gone down, going to peek over again, That Easy 8's awfully close, so I don't want to peek out just yet and take a nasty hit. As like I said, this tank it's very difficult to bounce shots in this tank. You have to be at a really sharp angle, getting shot at by a pretty low grade gun to get any reliable bounces here. So I'm just waiting for my moment when I can zip in, back up some teammates, help just DPM a tank to death, and take something out really quickly. So seeing this Chinook Kai, friendly Type 58 goes in, gets a nice hit on the Chinook Kai. So I figure I'm going to go the other way, but that's when I see the Easy 8 is in fact pushing up on us. So I know the Easy 8 is going to go straight after our Type 58 and try to double team him. And that's when I figure it's my time to shine here. I got to try and keep our Type 58 alive as best as I can. Takes me a while to get a shot onto him though because of gun depression, but some easy side shots in the Easy 8 helps the Type 58 take him down, keeping our friendly Type 58 in the game. Now I want this Chinook Kai to go next, as Chinook Kai is pretty dangerous tank, even for a tier 5. He's got a pretty dangerous gun. So I let the KV-1 pull ahead and take initial shots. So I try to get a shot in the Chinook Kai, but the best of RNG comes in and I bounce him on the maglet. Very unfortunate with that shot there, but not a huge deal, as I am immediately on the hunt again for damage. Just getting auto lock pen shots on these mediums and this DW2 hiding on top of this hill there by their base. DW2 really weak, so I'm trying to take him out of the game, just zipping forward, taking shots. And that's when the M4 pulls in front of the DW2 and starts taking hits with the DW2. So I just start dumping shots in this M4, making him regret getting stuck up there. He pulls back, so I start shooting at the VK3601, and that's when he backs off too, as the other team actually caught him pretty quickly. Holy crap, this tank can actually dump some damage. So looking around, seeing the AMX-40s pushing up, zero fucks given on their part. Duff a really bad shot in this M4. So I try to put one more into him, hits him right in the observation port. Late shot on the M4, completely misses. So turning around, I see their M6 is pushed up. I'm going to have to move up on this M6. I start calling for help here, trying to help me with this M6. I don't want to take him on alone, but it's going to wind up happening anyway. So just trying to stay below him, get some tracking shots on him initially. I don't want to get above him where I lose all my speed, as well as can't use my crappy gun depression to get shots on this guy. But he rolls up just completely broadside to me, just letting me get easy side shots on him. And he's got he's not fully upgraded, so he doesn't have the 90mm. So I just zip past him, outrace his gun, get some unanswered shots into his side and into his rear, and I'm able to take him out before he can get one more damaging hit on me. And that's when I realized we're actually mopping up the other team pretty nicely. We're currently up 8-7, still a pretty even game. It could go either way. So I want to, still play cautious now that I've lost about half my HP, and just going to take some cautionary pot shots at this enemy heavy tank, the VK3601H. Taking off fair chunks of his HP. I know he's looking at me since I'm spotted now, so I just start backing off behind the hill. Get a really lucky bounce off of his shot. Like I said, it's very difficult to bounce this tank. I fully expected that one to hit and hurt, but I got quite lucky there. It was at a really sharp angle, odd part of my turret there. So looking back, I see this T1 Heavy. He seems to be in trouble, even though it's just two AMX-40s. They don't have a very, very punchy gun, but I decided to turn around and help out our T1 Heavy anyways, as I don't want him getting killed and then us losing to a base cap by a pair of AMX-40s. T1 Heavy manages to take out the first AMX-40. So me coming through the buildings here, just trying to get closer, and that's when I decided now it's time to stop and start shooting. Hitting shots into the back of the AMX-40. Unfortunately, again, the accuracy not really paying me too many dividends there. But finally, after I just patiently wait for my reticule to aim in, I get some pretty easy damaging shots into the back of that AMX-40 there. So pulling forward, there's only 3 tanks left. We have them completely surrounded. One of them's a Nashorn, one's still at VK36, heavily damaged, and one's a half-dead M4 Sherman. I got a really lucky auto-lock shot on that M4. Don't even know how the hell that hit, but I'll take it. No complaints here whatsoever. So I peek out. I know I can hurt the Nashorn just for shooting him anywhere. So I'm trying to just protect myself in the buildings for now, not peek out when they're staring at me and aiming in at the spots I'm going to peek out. So I pull back, Trying to get a spot again on that Nashorn, and that's when the VK-36, I notice he's rolling up, so I load up some APCR. Want to try and get a higher chance of pens here. Bounce one off his upper prep plate, but the next couple shots just go right through him, and I'm able to take him out of the game. After that one misses, T1 Heavy gets a nice side shot into him to finish him off. So I loading back out to regular AP. I want to take out the Nashorn before I go after that M4 Sherman. So this game's pretty much done with. We're going to close it out here pretty quickly. But as you can see, the A-43, I mean, I really liked this tank. It shoots fast. It's got good pen, really good aim time. It's just on the move, accuracy, a little something to be desired. It's not terrible, but it's not that great either. And the overall accuracy of the gun, not too fantastic either. 2 more damaging shots in the Nashorn before our friendly takes him out. So, just closing in on this M4. He's one shot. Teammate's going to take him out before I get there. So this essentially was the last game in the A-43. Not a bad game at all. I was really happy with this one. Surprised that I was able to take on an M6 at full health and take him down to nothing all by myself. 2391 total damage dealt. High caliber metal again, just under 3,000 damage, or sorry, 3,000 XP with ops. Great game to finish off the A-43. So as you can see, if you utilize your DPM, utilize your acceleration and overall mobility to get into nice flanking positions, and just get those accurate shots into people's weak spots, you can really make this tank sing. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 1 of Mediums Forever. I'll see you next time with a review of the A-44, continuing on for the Object 430. Have a good night, guys.